Well, we started exactly almost on time. Like we were 30 seconds off, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So, hey.
Well, we're both Sunday. Here. Yeah, it's Sunday. We're both here, and it's live, and it's hot.
Well, it's good. I make him hot. Well, now it's not blowing on me.
That feels better. Which arm got me? We have one person. we got one person. Let me expand this. Oh, then I can't see what people say. Yeah, I can't see.
We don't have to see ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's been a hectic, I would say morning, but it's 2 o'clock, so it's been a hectic day.
Yeah, no kidding.
The girls didn't sleep that well last night. At least Zoe didn't. So, and they always like come in. They never wake Herschel up at night. They always wake me up. So they'll come in, and Beanie either taps me on the forehead, taps me on the nose, the cheek, and then sometimes my arm, but it's usually facial touching, and it's like this little tap, 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 and then they whisper. So I had a whole lot of that from Zoe last night. So I didn't get a whole lot of good sleep, you know, and then just my back is sore and stuff because I'm 38 weeks pregnant now.
Yep.
So then we woke up, and then Bean came in, wanted to lay in bed with us. And then I got up and went and got breakfast, but that was by like 11.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
And then had breakfast, and I had to get dressed and stuff, and then I was like, okay, we don't have anything in the way of groceries, and so we need groceries. So I went to the grocery store.
Last minute.
What?
Last minute.
I had 2 hours, but it's Sunday, and the grocery store is crowded, so... Anyway, so did that, just got back, and I'm here.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we were here pretty much on time. I mean, we were like, 15 to 30 seconds off, which is really good for us. I was thinking we were going to miss it, especially whenever she hadn't gotten here yet. I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to miss it. But we showed up, and then we were like shoving stuff in the fridge. I was.
Well, I had them bag it so that where all the refrigerated stuff was all together. So we're not fully unpacked from grocery shopping yet. There's still a trunk full of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was.
Holy smokes.
That was only the cold stuff that can't wait while we broadcast.
Holy smokes.
So yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's how crazy our life is. So there's 3 people here right now. What questions do you have? So I'm going to put it here in the box.
Did anybody say anything yet?
Not yet. What questions do you have for us? So, no. And also, I have to explain, I don't know who's here and who was here last time, but Noelle can't see without her glasses, and she doesn't wear contacts. So, I mean, she can, but she just doesn't have contacts.
I can't anymore.
Oh, you really can't?
Well, it's like... After about 2 or 3 hours, my eyes just reject them. So,
I didn't know that.
Pregnancy.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But anyhow, she's not going to be able to read anything that you write there. I mean, unless
here,
she's
but they cause a glare. So
yeah. So I'm going to be reading whatever questions that you have because obviously when we post this, people aren't going to know that there was a question. They're going to think it's weird that we're just reading something out.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not going to see someone typing.
Okay, that's right. So, technically, y'all are like ghost writers then if you send us a question.
Somebody's got to ask a question because soon she's going to start doing her puns. I don't want that.
No, but listen to this killer deal. Okay, so I shop at Fred Meyer, which is an affiliate store of the Kroger company. So wherever you are, it's like QFC, Kroger, Fred Meyer. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of places there. So I shop there, and one thing I like about them is that they give you, you earn gas points, which is awesome because we never pay full price for a tank of gas, and we also don't drive a lot, so that helps. But you're not going to sneeze.
It's going to be like 5 sneezes back to back. That's 2. 3.
That's it. Excuse me. Bless me. So anyway, they're usually pretty good about like if I have a question about something or a price or a sign said something, they're usually pretty good about, like, just honoring it. Well, they had Dr. Pepper. It was Dr. Pepper cherry, but I'm like, Dr. Pepper is already cherry flavored anyway, so why not? And it was tagged as 10 for 10, and it was like the case of 12 cans. Normally they're like 2 for $9. So it's marked 10 for 10. So I went, and I trotted my little self, and I found a store associate, and I was like, can you help me with something? And so she comes over, and I was like, so I'm prepared to take a picture with my cell phone of the sign and everything. I said, but I didn't know if, like, they would honor it. And she's like, well, we have to. She's like, it's marked wrong. She's like, but we'll honor it. So she wrote on the little thing, and so I got I got a case of Diet Dr. Pepper cherry and a case of regular Dr. Pepper cherry for $1 each, so $2. I love it.
Anyhow, so I have my answer, but I wanted to kind of dive into it since no one is asking any sort of questions. Got to keep this interesting. What are some of the things that are new for you or that you struggle with, if any, with a interracial relationship? What struggles or concerns do you have, whether it's here, whether it was in Indiana, whether it's in New Mexico? What struggles do you have when it comes to interracial dating?
What struggles have I had?
Yeah, like what things bother you about society? If so, how? Because this I don't know. Like if she gives an answer, we don't really talk about it.
Yeah, we don't ever talk. I mean, I guess the most salient thing that has come out for me recently, and that's most pressing in recent terms, is that the political climate, the social climate that's here in the U.S. is just not. It's just not a good place to be. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel community driven. Like it's just not a. It's not a good place to be right now. It feels like, and so I have been afraid of what could potentially happen to you. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like I've shared the story with some friends, but like our front headlight went out, and you know, so it's like, okay, easy. Herschel can easily fix that and stuff. But then it was right after I think Alton Sterling. Mm-hmm. It was right after he was killed, and then it was just like things just kind of blew up even more. And so I told him, and I was like scared. I'm like, if we have to drive any place and it's dark and you have to use the lights, I'm like, you can't drive. I was like, you have to let me drive. And so I'm just like I'm just kind of on edge of like, let's try to make sure that like you don't stand out in any way to potentially become a victim and become a news story. You know, we went to the movies, we went to date night, and I just had an uneasy, I mean, we came home, we were unscathed, we had a good night out, but it was just an uneasy feeling like when we came out of the theater of like, okay, let's just get to the car as soon as possible. And also like the theater guys, they did like, what, 3 or 4 checks of the theater, like throughout the movie, which I'd never seen that happen before. Now,
you haven't been to the movies in a while either, so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But still, I mean, I feel like that's kind of probably their protocol has changed. So I think being in an interracial relationship with a black man, I feel like there's just this fear that I have that something could potentially happen to you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bruce. Yes, we are doing very well. We are waiting for Zeta to come. Looking forward to that. Obviously, we've got everything kind of packed and squared away. And, you know, she could come at any day. Noelle thinks she's going to be coming sooner rather than on the 17th, but I think everything is going to be kind of going the way that it's supposed to be. So, I think that you're getting back to, you know, what are your concerns about being in an interracial relationship? I think your concerns are more or less about society and minorities, right? I think that's more or less what that is. That's not, I mean, I guess it can be a concern too.
Well, but I mean, if I was in a relationship with another Asian person or a white dude or Indian, you know, whatever, any other person other than a black man, those wouldn't be my concerns. Mm-hmm. But that's a real concern for me now that, like, and because like you're not just a black man to me, you know, like you're my husband, you're the father of our children, like you craft a big part of my world. And so like for somebody to be able to easily take that away, or for the potential for somebody to be able to take that away, that's scary.
Hey Trini, thanks for the peace sign. And Bruce had a question. Are you guys interested or watched the last superhero movies?
You know, somebody else was asking us about the superhero movies when I was live last time. I mean, we watched them, but not like, we're not fans. I mean, we're not like
I think the biggest
dedicated to it.
I think the biggest things for us is that we just really are so busy, and also the lack of babysitters come into play, so it really interrupts a lot of, you know, free time in terms of outside of the house and things like that, just the both of us. So I'd be happy to watch any movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm not interested, but it's just my time gets filled with other things, so I don't really have the opportunity. Okay, except Finding Dory. Now, I'm going to be honest.
It's a kid movie, then yeah.
Well, it's a kid movie, but I'm going to be honest that, like, even if I didn't have kids, I would have been lined up to see that movie, and I was hyped about it regardless, because I loved Finding Nemo, and I love Ellen, and the fact that, like, finally, 12 years later, we got a sequel. So I would have been excited about that regardless if we had kids or not. So there are some things, I guess, that are more important to me than others. I've just never been big into, like, comic book stuff, but, I mean, I've seen some of the movies, like the have we seen the Avengers? I don't know. Seen some of them, so.
As far as me, my concerns about interracial relationships or interracial dating or marriage, to me, it's not so much the stares and the glares. You know, it's what's really weird is we've lived in Indianapolis. That's where we met. We then moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So in Indianapolis, we had Zoe. When we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, we had Zara. So if you know the story. And then now here in Washington, we're going to have Zeta. So every state that we move to, we end up having a kid. But in Indiana, it seemed like we were on display. It was, and nothing against Indiana, nothing against Indianapolis, but there's not as much.
We were a novelty.
Yeah, there was not a lot of Malaysian couples there. And so you got a lot of people that would stare. Now, I remember once we went into a store, a large big box store, and she said she heard a guy pass by us. It was a white gentleman who mumbled something or grunted something. And that's the only time that I've heard anyone say something. And of course, I stopped in the middle of the store and said something to him. I didn't hear what he said, but I heard what she had mentioned it to me. So I gave him an earful as he walked away. Not that I'm not that I'm like Suge Knight or nothing, but I'm not really a small guy. So rarely do I have people say something to me to my face. And if they do, they really don't try to push it any further. If you watch the video when we were down in Chinatown and the guy that confronted us, or basically confronted me because I didn't give him any money, that was about it. I knew that he wasn't going to really do much. Let me read some of these questions really quick. What type of music do you guys listen to? We both typically like R&B and hip hop. That she likes anything. I
listen to a lot of pop, like top 40 stuff, but I also like independent stuff. I really will listen and can enjoy any kind of music except country. I can't get down with it, except I like bluegrass and like Alison Krauss and Nickel Creek and some of that, so like bluegrassy kind of stuff, but like country, like pop country, I just
but she's been to country concerts.
Okay, I went to one country concert because my friends dragged me there and promised that Jewel would be there, and Jewel was there, and Jewel mostly did her stuff from the early 2000s, so I was appeased. It was a Brad Paisley concert, but my friends were so mad at me because I kept calling him Brad Plaid.
No offense to anyone that likes Brad Paisley. No offense to you, sir.
But I really can enjoy any genre of music.
Me, typically, it's going to be hip-hop, and I typically like the stuff in the 90s. You know, we're talking like Tupac time frame when Death Row was really big. And then definitely R&B. From there, I can pretty much like just about anything. So, yeah.
Are we sports fans? Yes.
Yes.
We are probably more NFL fans than we are anything else. I mean, when I was younger, I did not understand football at all. I mean, I can't say that I fully understand it now enough to like follow along and enjoy it. But I used to be totally into NBA and like Scottie Pippen, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, Reggie Miller, Rick Smith, like in those days, in the heyday of NBA.
Right.
And I used to also, I still consider myself a Cubbies fan. I mean, growing up in Indiana, we were close enough to Chicago, so I was kind of a Cubbies fan. I enjoy going to sporting events more so than like being like a super diehard fan. But now that we live in a city again, like, when Peyton Manning was still playing for the Broncos, I was a Broncos fan because I was a Peyton Manning fan. Now that he's retired, I'm kind of like Broncos, meh.
Yeah, I gotta say the same for me.
But the Seahawks and the Colts I will always kind of have a special place for because they've been my team all growing up. And then the Seahawks because we live here now. So
yeah, I would say that I'm a big fan of a lot of different things. Boxing is one of my biggest loves.
Yeah.
I love boxing, not as much now because a lot of the people that I really followed are kind of out of it. But boxing's one of my favorites. I definitely do like football by far more than anything else out there. I would have to say that the Colts are my team, but also the Seahawks. Like what she said, I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan, so when he was with the Broncos, I liked Peyton, the fact that he's there. But since he retired, you know, Broncos are okay. I can enjoy the game. I can enjoy the sport and watch whatever. And then, of course, baseball. I definitely love baseball. The Mariners are here. Watch that. And even minor league baseball is cool with me
minor league
as well.
baseball's fun.
It's really fun. I mean, I like it. I enjoy the atmosphere.
I was a huge Indians fan because the Indianapolis Indians, which is the farm team for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then, so somebody asked if we wanted to have a boy.
Yeah, tomorrow, I think I'm saying your name correct. We want to have a boy. Well, you know, my biggest thing was as long as we are having a healthy child, that's first and foremost. I was kind of open for a boy, obviously, because, you know, we don't have a boy. But I mean, obviously, we're having a girl now. But there was also, I think, a video that I did where I was a bit concerned about having a boy. It ties back into what you were saying about the fear of, that she has for me. I would have the same fear if I had a boy because it would be a boy of color, that type of thing. So yeah, that would have been cool, but I have much more experience with girls. Who's to say that this is going to be our last child? Remember, I did a video and I said something about this is the final child, I think, or something like that. Maybe.
But I've also talked about having a tubal ligation, which is having my tubes tied.
Right.
But I did not give a concrete answer on that either.
So it's a question mark. It's a question mark.
We don't know.
We would love to have a boy. Sure.
I mean, but not to the point where not to the point where we're disappointed. For me, it was like, if we have a boy, that's awesome because then we get the experience of having girls and a boy. But also is a little like, oh, there's a learning curve. Like we the last 5 years of our lives, we've had little girls in our lives, and so like we get that. We know what those developmental milestones are, what that, you know, what the attitude is like, even though their attitudes are different, but temperament and stuff. And a learning curve with changing a boy diaper and that kind of thing and stuff like that. So it wasn't so much where like we didn't have a third child to try to have a boy.
Right.
And I always like to make that clear because I don't want Zeta to feel like, oh, well, I was supposed to be the boy. Like, because I know a lot of people who in their family, like, they were supposed to be the boy or they were supposed to be the girl. And like for us, it wasn't that. We wanted to have another child, and like whatever we got was great. Right. So, so it'd still be cool to have a boy, but we'll see.
All right, Trini asks, "Hi guys, congrats on expecting a new baby. As an interracial couple, do you receive any nasty comments when out in public?" I have to say that I don't. The only instance that I came across was, like I said, she heard the comment from an older gentleman who was a white guy that walked by, and she said that he kind of grunted or said something. And then I said it back to him. Most of the time we get stares or looks or something like that. But again, I mean, again, not that I'm some sort of a Suge Knight, but I guess I intimidate a lot of people. You know, when I'm out, I'm a pretty tall guy, so I don't really get any sort of conflict. I can walk around at night downtown, which is in areas can be kind of sketchy, and I really don't. It doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah, we haven't really. I mean, I got things when I was younger. Like people would say things to me, but not since we've been together have people really addressed us as a couple or addressed our children. I mean, I've had some silly things like, you know, people wanted to touch, like when the girls were little and the babies, like they wanted to touch their hair. Zoe, she was like 4 months old and somebody asked if I permed her hair. I'm like, really? So like silly things like that. I'm like, you are so ignorant right now. But nothing that we have really outright received. So right. we've been very fortunate in that area. Right. Hi HershNoeie, love your channel. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Let's try to read their name so we can get
Renee Hahn. Thanks for your comments. We appreciate that you like us sharing. So. Yeah. The Cubs are doing well lately. LOL. I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan. Not so interested in football now that he retired. Yeah. So
I agree, Bruce.
You get with us.
I agree.
You get us.
I agree. I mean, again, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of the sport. So it kind of sucks that he is gone. I mean, I was more sad when the Colts let him go. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I mean, he pretty much showed that he still had a lot of play in him. Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy that he was able to go out with another Super Bowl win, though. Yeah. Like that was, that's what I had wanted for him, and to kind of like stick it to HershNoeie. Yeah. So, and he did.
So going back to the one part that I was talking about in terms of any issues as far as being an interracial couple, I think my biggest thing is just, from my perspective, has been from people who will say, because, you know, my prior marriage, I should say, she was from Hong Kong. So a lot of my, wouldn't say they were guy friends, but coworkers back in the day would say, well, you must have like Asian fever or yellow fever or something. And it was a big deal for a black guy to have dated or married more than one person who happened to be. Now, if she was white or something, I don't know if I would have got that comment, but it seemed like, oh, wow, you know, like that catches a lot of people by surprise.
Because, you know, we're so exotic.
And so that's one of the things that I definitely don't like. I didn't like that aspect of it, of people just questioning the relationship, you know, like, well, how did you meet? And another thing, I remember in New Mexico, we were selling, you know, people do yard sales and stuff. We were selling some movies, and this guy, he was an older guy, in Albuquerque, has a lot of military. He's got an Air Force base there. And so he had said, just out of the blue, looking at a DVD, he said, he asked me if I was in the military. Now, of course, Noel was out there too. And I said, no. And so he looked down at the DVD, and then he looked back up, and he was like, but you have been though, right? And I said, no.
Yeah, I'm a war bride.
So, you know, a war bride. I've never heard of that.
War bride.
Oh, war bride. Okay. But, you know, so it's never like, hey, we're normal people and we just normally came together. There's always got to be some sort of an angle behind it. And it's like, no, it's just this is just how it was.
Yeah. So before we read the next question, one thing I wanted to comment on, and again, this was more when we lived in Indiana, was that when we were first dating, for like the first year or so, and maybe I just started ignoring it after that, but I would get stared down. Like, you talk about, like, if looks could kill, I'd be 6 feet under, like mean mugging, like to the extreme. I would get stared at by white women. And I'm like, now, what's going on here? Like, I can understand, because I've been in frank conversations with some of my black female friends, and that were sometimes upset that I was dating a black guy, or I was with a black guy, or whatever, or if I ever did date a black guy, this was even before I did, that they were admittedly, like, they would be upset because, like, well, why would he go for you versus why wouldn't he go for me, who's, you know, a black woman? And so, like, we would have frank conversations. And so, like, I can understand that more so than a white woman giving me the stare down or giving him the stare down because we're together. It's like, what, you know, I don't know.
And no offense to, I mean, we're not trying to offend anybody, obviously, but
No.
I remember once I had dated a girl who was white, and we got into a conversation, and I had said prior that I had dated someone who was Asian, and her comment was, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And she said, you know, we need to stick together. Like, as people, we need, like, basically trying to put me, I'm like, there are differences here. But she's like, you know, we can't date people like that. You know, we need to stick together. And it was kind of a weird statement to me. And I didn't understand that. I've never gotten any sort of comments or looks or stares from black women or black men at all. You know, most of what I have gotten has been from white people in terms of looks and stares, and from some Asian people here. Mainly, like when we're in Chinatown or something like that, you'll get that. However, there's a lot of couples here who are Malaysian. I mean, you'll be surprised how many. I mean, yesterday we met with, you know, our Malaysian friends that we have here. I mean, it's a Malaysian couple, so it's pretty prevalent here. But we were kind of looked at a little bit when we're there.
I mean, some of the older
I think it has
Asian
to do with that
people
too.
also just stare at everybody.
Right.
So it's not necessarily just us.
Right. And some of it's just out of curiosity, like, wow, you know, you guys are such a great couple. You know, you can never take, I look at it this way, you can never take a stare the wrong way or a look, because a lot of times people are like just curious, like, wow. You know, maybe that gives them inspiration to tell their child, hey, you know what? They seem to be doing pretty well. You know, their kids seem to be well-mannered. Hopefully they thought that. And, you know, why not? So hopefully that kind of can be the same message, too, that they're getting.
Also, though, it could be a thing of disbelief, because there are times that, like, if we were someplace else, not so much here in Seattle, and not so much now, but, like, initially, if we saw a Malaysian couple, I'd be like, oh, my gosh. And I'd have to be like,
right.
Is that really? You know?
Right.
So it's, like, disbelief of, like, oh, my goodness, like, there are more people like us. So, you know.
The other thing, too, I have to say, that where I thought a stare was weird and it turned out to be something different. We were in the airport, and there was a black lady that kept staring at us, and I was like, okay. So then she comes over with a camera, and she's like, do you mind if I take a picture of you and the girls, like us?
I forgot about that.
And she said, was it her son or daughter?
Daughter.
Was dating or married to an Asian man, and so she wanted to take a picture. And so she was happy about it. And then one time, one of Noelle's friends was doing a wedding rehearsal, and these Korean ladies came out, and they were just, it seemed like they were like, you know, relatives. They ran over to our girls and started hugging them and everything. They were in love with the girls. They were in love with them, but it just goes to show that just because someone may look doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil intent. It could be just out of curiosity or out of love. Yeah. Tyra Livingston, Noelle, do you two enjoy learning from each other and your culture too? Yeah. I mean, you know, I think I've started dabbling within my adoption videos, and I need to make more. But I didn't really start being able to identify with cultural pieces of being Korean until I was well into my adulthood, and really once we started getting together. So I didn't have a lot of exposure when I was younger. And so now, you know, like through the courtesy of YouTube, you know, I was able to find people that made Korean cooking seem easy, and it actually is easy. You know, I mean, there's a lot of labor. It's very labor intensive. I also like to say love intensive, but so I've been able to, it's the labor of love. So I've been able to really connect through cooking, and, you know, being in Seattle, we're definitely have more of a presence of just general Asian cultures and stuff. So we take the girls to that to kind of expand their worlds as well. But we enjoy like learning that together and doing that together. But then I also enjoy like going, I love his mama dearly. And I enjoy like going to her house. Like last time we were down there, we were able to spend like 8 days with her. And
being able to learn like from how she cooks, and so I can be able to cook some of his favorite stuff. And yeah, I mean, so being able to share that.
I gotta tell you, these two women, my mother and Noelle, can really cook. It's fire. I have to say, it's really, really good. So I enjoy that. Let's see. I get I get asked if I'm in the military when people find I speak Korean too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really, really want to learn is Korean. It's hard for me to learn a new language. I guess it is for most people, but it's really, really hard. But that's something that I would really like to do one day.
Me too.
And then Malika Lynch, do you guys plan to visit South Korea one day? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I have said that I'd like to go. I'd like to be able to visit before I'm 40, which gives me 5.5 years. So we'll see. But also, like with the girls, I want it to be a trip where it's meaningful for them, so where they're at an age where they can understand and recognize and appreciate. I mean, obviously, it's going to be much more of a journey for me, but it's a journey for our family because this is half of them, you know? And so, yes, we definitely want to go. It's just a matter of when we will go.
Right.
So.
I think that, you know, it's crazy because I always like to, early on in my younger days, when I first started college, I wanted to be an anthropologist. And for me, it was all about studying different cultures. So I've always wanted to study different cultures. I started with Japanese and trying to learn Japanese. And then I wanted to do just various different things. And so let me close something down here real quick. So anyhow, I don't want it to interrupt though. Close. So anyhow, I started studying Korea, South Korea, and just how it became what it was in such a short amount of time. I mean, it went from, you know, being a very poor country to just what it is today in just a very short amount of time. It's always been so fascinating, and for me, I want to go see, obviously, you know, the big cities and things like that, but also want to go to some of like the smaller villages, some of the islands that are around there, just those types of things. I really think would be really, really cool overall. I think it's just, everything about it is just amazing.
Yeah.
So when people do videos that I watch on YouTube and they show how everything is there, I just sit there and I pause the video just to look around. It's crazy. Do you guys, Night Train said, do you guys plan on settling down in Seattle long term? I will say Seattle area because we're looking at Tacoma pretty heavily because of affordability. And I think also, this is a tough one. We really and truly, prior to moving here, we're like, yeah, we're big city people, you know, and that type of thing. And nothing against Seattle, but Seattle is becoming very fast-paced. And it's becoming to me, it's becoming very much, you stay in your own neighborhood because you have everything you need in your neighborhood pretty much, unless you have to go out to work someplace. It's becoming more and more like that. And so we're not really used to that. We're used to having to go across town to get such and such and go over here and go over there.
We're suburbia people. Yeah,
we're kind of more suburban because my both of the houses I've owned have been in the suburbs. So I think that's kind of what we're dealing with here. For example, I got a package that was delivered and I can't get it because we're in an apartment, so it goes to the office. So I have to wait till Monday. So I'm used to getting things. I'm still bitter about it. It bothers me. So yeah, I think Tacoma is going to be it. But to answer your question, in the Seattle area, yeah, long term.
Yes. This is the Pacific Northwest is where we're here to stay.
Night Train has another good question. Hersh, where in the South are you from? I hope it doesn't come out in my when I speak, but
sometimes.
Sometimes. Some words. Kentucky. I'm originally from South Central Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky, more specifically. So yeah.
And then Ande Daewum says, if you want to learn Korean, learn how to read the Korean characters first. It will make things better long term. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I heard someone say that. I heard someone mention that, you know what, study the characters first, and then everything else is a lot easier.
And then he or she, sorry, I don't know. Also, many Korean words are the same in English, but with a Korean accent, so you'll be surprised at how much Korean you may already know.
Like hamburger. Remember
Ambaga.
Yeah, something like that. So we've been trying. Yeah, we've been trying to learn some things. So
we used a kids app on the
exactly.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Tyra Livingston.
Livingston and Trini 6820. Noelle, are you ever going to look for your real parents? And hey, Noelle, did you ever think about looking for your birth mom? So yes and yes. I need to step up my game with my adoption videos and like put more out there. But yes, in regards to doing a birth search, I have attempted to. I've tried to, but unsuccessfully. So with my records, they indicate there's like 2 different stories, and so I don't want to go too much into this because this is,
it'll be a long video.
It'll be a long video. But I have some mismatching pieces or some missing information. There's 2 different ways that account for like the first 11 months of my life. But I do know that I was adopted by a Korean family in Korea before I was adopted here to the States. So in terms of finding my biological parents, it's kind of nigh on to impossible. I have connected with Holt. I've provided everything. There's nothing that they can locate. They also...
Holt was the adoption agency.
Yes. Holt is the agency in Korea, and then I was actually... The adoption was facilitated through Bethany Christian Services in Michigan.
Right.
So the other piece was I was trying to locate either my adoptive mother or my, any information on that, and they weren't able to. They send telegrams. So they say they send telegrams, and I don't know if that really means like, dear so-and-so, stop. Your daughter is looking for you. Stop. Like, I don't know. Right. Or if it's like a letter. So they send a letter to her last known address, but she's been gone from there for a long time. So I'm kind of at a stuck point. I did do a DNA test. I did the 23andMe, which is a DNA. You give your spit and send it away, and they're able to match you with people. So I've actually found a first cousin, or second cousin, I believe, who lives in LA, and so we've kind of communicated. So I'll share more about that. But yes, at this point, I'm kind of relegated to I don't know that I'll ever know more about my true beginnings, but I'm at a point where I'm okay with that. I mean, it ebbs and flows, but I would just like to be able to go back to my motherland and like see and smell and hear and feel and all of that.
That was one of the biggest things too. I think that because I wanted to go to Korea before, and I think that we just had Zoe at the time. But Noelle was coming through a lot of different things, overcoming a lot of different things, and I'll let her discuss that at any point in time she wants. So the whole adoption part of it was a big piece of it, because her concern was, okay, what if I do run into my adopted mother, then what? Or what if I go there and I can't find her, then what? And I told her, I said, the best thing for you to do is to go to Korea without any expectations. Go there without thinking that you're going to find anyone, but just go there for the smell, for the look, for everything that is South Korea. And I said, then you can, if you find your adopted mom or your birth mom, then that's a bonus. So I think now she's at the place to where mentally she can definitely do it. It's not an issue. But it's just right now financially with, all these kids and us, it'd be like $1 billion to go.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had a lot of questions. The early videos the early videos from Sweet and Tasty TV has some Korean lessons that are good. The newer videos will be more about Korean culture and traveling in Korea.
I love her.
Awesome.
I tell you the reason why I love her so much is because she does all the different characters. She acts like she's the old lady. She acts like
is that Professor O?
Yeah, Professor O.
Oh, yes. I didn't know that was Sweet and Tasty. Yes.
Yeah, so she does a lot. I agree. Her videos are really good in terms of helping you understand what the word is, how to say it, and she breaks it down. I've looked at this other, and I think they were from Korea, and they had a lesson, but it was kind of hard for me to follow because they were going kind of quick. and I need for someone to really put the word out there well enough for me to understand. I don't know how to explain it, but it was hard for me to follow.
I mean, my secret desire would be that we would start that. So I was raised Catholic, and technically I am still Catholic. I just am not practicing right now. But I would love to like start going to a Korean Catholic church and secretly like have a woman or have an older couple like be like, oh my gosh, we love you so much, like, yes, we want to take you under our wing, and like I want to teach you how to cook this, and I want to teach you how to do this, and yes, I will teach you and your children how to speak Korean. So that's my secret desire. I guess have to step foot into the church and get into the community, but yeah. So anyway, but yes, we do watch her. So Bruce. We've got some Hey Lovely CD. Okay, so Bruce, what is your best childhood memory? He wants to know.
I tell you mine, and I mentioned it to you. When I was a kid, and I'm talking like 5 years old, so it was like a long time ago. But when I was 5 years old, my cousin and I lived on the same block, and we would play every single day. And one time, because we used to scoop up worms and stuff, and we would put them in my sister's little dress thing, and so we would put dirt and worms in there, and we were saying the dirt's so dry, and my mom would not let me get any water to put in my little worm thing. So we would sing rainy dance. We would do a rain dance where we would run around in circles singing a song called Rainy Dance, and I kid you not, every time we did it, it would rain.
How did the song go?
I'm not going to do that. I can't remember it.
You just sang it for me the other night.
That's okay. That takes too much time.
It's a short little ditty.
No, we're good.
My best childhood memory.
Probably camp or something.
Well, I love summer camp, but I think it's funny. So I'm a naturalized citizen. So I'm a citizen of the U.S., and I didn't have to like go through the tests or anything like that, but I'm naturalized. So I have a certificate of naturalization. I'm legit, all of that. So that happened when I was 5 in 1987. And part of it was like I remember getting a new dress. And, like, it was this big thing because we were going downtown to Indianapolis. I lived in a small town outside of Indy. So we were going downtown. I had a new dress. I was going to get my picture taken and all of this. And so it was like a big day in my life, right? But the bonus for me and what I really remember about that day is that Barnum and Bailey, the circus train, was in town because the circus was coming. And I was going to go to the circus. But I got to see the circus train with, like, all the animals and pictures and stuff, and I got to see the circus elephants on the train on the way into the courthouse or wherever it was. And it's like, of all the things that I could remember of that day, it's the circus train that I remember.
Wow.
So, yes.
Wow. All right. So, Maliko Lynch, I hope I'm saying these names right.
Malco?
Yeah, Malco. If you could keep 5 possessions, what would they be? Want me to go?
Yeah, go.
My car, obviously, because it's important to get around.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My house, because we need something to live in. See, I'm thinking about survival.
Oh.
Yeah, because we need something to live in. I would keep our library of books, which has everything that you can think of.
That's
in
more
it.
than one thing.
Well, I mean...
You're cheating.
I don't think
He's
it's cheating.
cheating on the question.
I don't think it's cheating. So where am I? Phone. It doesn't have to be a cell phone, just a phone for us to actually make, stuff. And then our pictures, which include everything. Because, pictures, you were talking about pictures, that's 1,000 things. Especially the pictures she takes. I mean, it's like 10 million pictures.
Okay.
What about you?
So I was going more for sentimental value. My top 5 possessions would be actually my certificate of naturalization, because that's important to me. I have a small envelope of baby pictures that I got from Korea, through doing some searches earlier on in my life, and it has it's of me as a baby with my adoptive mother. So I have a few of those pictures. So I would save that envelope. See, I'm thinking like if there was a fire, like what would you save?
Right.
So certificate of naturalization, my baby pictures, probably the box of baby things that I keep from the girls of like their first things. That's 3. I don't know if you identify pets as possessions, but my cats, I would identify them as possessions. And the 5th thing would be my wedding ring. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because the wedding ring broke the bank, I gotta say.
Okay. What are your top 3 favorite books and why?
That's from Tamir?
Yeah.
That's a difficult question.
Tamar Sylvester.
That's a bad question for me because I don't really read books. I'm more or less into newspapers, magazines, and things like that. So I couldn't even name one. I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird, but I mean, that's kind of...
Did you ever fully read it?
No. The books that they even had me to read in school, like I kind of read like the first little bit and then the last little bit and kind of guessed in the middle.
And then you got cliff notes.
Yeah.
And you had a friend like me in school that would tell you everything that happened.
Yeah, I would bomb the test and be pissed.
So there's a book that, sorry, this has been a lot about adoption stuff, but there's a book that was written by Korean mothers who were giving their babies up for adoption at a midwife's home, and it's called I Wish for You a Beautiful Life. And it's a very, very emotional read because it's these mothers giving their children up and like the hopes for them that they have and the sorrow that they feel and everything. So that is a pretty special book because even though I know like I wasn't born there or anything, it's like I can imagine like the grief and sorrow and pain and everything that my mother went through and giving me up. So that's one. Another classic that I have always liked is Of Mice and Men. Tell me about the bunnies again, George. So I love that one. And let's see, another one. So this is actually a children's book, but it was a book that I read over and over and over and over and over. And it was called Yesterday's Doll. And it was about this little girl who had like rheumatic fever or something. And she had this family doll that was passed down to her while she was recovering. And it transported her to the pioneer days of like her great grandmother who originally owned the doll. So like when she went to sleep and she would dream, she would like transport into pioneer days. And like that made me like want to be a pioneer. Yeah, Yesterday's Doll. It was fun. I would still read it now.
Tyler Livingston, Hirsch, do you come from a big family or a small family? What do people mean when they say that? Because it depends. If we're talking about like just immediate, like just sisters, kinda. Because I have, so there was me, I'm the youngest. The next sister in line is 14 years older than me. I had another sister who has since passed away. She passed away when I was 15, but she would have been, I think my sister told me today, she would have been 58 today. Mm-hmm. And then I have another sister, Jan, who's in her 60s. So it gives you, I mean, it's crazy. My mom had me when she was 46, so it gives you an idea. I have sisters who are in their 60s, so they're technically old enough to be my mother. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, kind of, to answer your question, kind of, I guess you can say. When you start talking about, like, my nieces and nephews, yeah, I've got, like, 50.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot.
I came from a big family. I was adopted into a family that had 4 biological children. So I grew up in a family of 5 kids, so a family of 7 total. So, yeah.
Yeah. Brick Flair, how's it going? He said, good thinking. Bruce
Which says, we know now that his name is Isaiah.
Yeah.
So hi,
now
Isaiah.
I'm bad with names, so I'm not going to remember.
So Bruce, if you could witness any event of the past, present, or future, what would it be? So Brick answered, MLK, I have a dream speech.
I would have to agree. I don't want to piggyback too much, but I think that just being there's certain things that you watch in the past that was history, and you're like, wow, I wish I could have been there. Just to feel the energy, just to feel the inspiration, and to just gain knowledge, and just to be a part of something that is so big that it shook the world and impacted the world for the better. So I have to agree with you, Isaiah. I Have a Dream speech is also something that I would have really wanted to be there to see.
I think for me, and it goes along the same lines with social justice and stuff, but I've always been intrigued by Abraham Lincoln, and so I would have wanted to see the Gettysburg Address.
I agree.
And, you know, and like hearing about the Emancipation Proclamation and stuff, of course. I don't think any of my people would have really been around at that time, but...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but...
Okay. Hang on.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be right there.
And then Bruce said, Fleur, that's a good one. I agree. And then many Korean companies that teach Korean have YouTube channels so you can sample their lessons before you spend money on anything. Many expensive programs don't work as well as cheaper programs.
Yeah.
I have to agree. Just because...
Okay, I'll be right back.
Lala has to go handle the kids. I have to agree that just because something's more expensive doesn't mean that it's better. I've noticed that a lot of these language companies, you know, and if you sample them online, it's like I really didn't learn anything or didn't capture my imagination. For me to learn something now, it has to really pull me in. And if it's not going to do that, it's not going to be successful. And so I agree with you. If it's not, and that's why someone mentioned Sweet and Tasty. I mean, she makes it very interesting. She's just a very funny person to begin with. That's appealing. And then just breaking things down and explaining what it means, using it in a sentence. And sometimes she'll act it out. So I agree. I think that is very, very true. And of course, what she's doing is free. Now, I know she doesn't have anything that she's selling in terms of trying to learn the language, but just some of the basics are cool. Another thing, when I went to Haiti, I didn't know any sort of Haitian Creole. Hey, it's buffering. Sorry if it's buffering. Let me know if it's still having an issue, because then we can shut it down and start it back up again if we need to. But when I went to Haiti, I had, let me see what the stream health is real quick. It's showing good, so hopefully it fixes itself. But when I went to Haiti, I didn't know any sort of Haitian Creole whatsoever, and I didn't know any sort of French. But when I got there, people kind of talked to you in Haitian Creole anyway, because they wanted you to speak back to them in their language. The person that I was there with, she was really, really cool. She knew a lot of Haitian Creole, so she would kind of tell me certain things to say, so it kind of helped make my stay a lot easier and better. But even things like that helped me, because people would say, well, this is how you would use this, this is how you would use that. So it really captured my interest. So I was there. He said it was buffering. I checked. It seemed like everything's okay, but I told him if it keeps doing that, let us know. We'll shut it down.
Sorry. Okay. What teacher in school made the most impact on you, and why?
Tamir.
Oh, goodness. I can't really say that it was ever a K through 12 teacher. Growing up in a small town, I was singled out a lot in my classes and stuff, so none of that really. But I had a professor in college, Kevin Robbins, and he was a history teacher, or history professor, and we actually became like personal friends like after I took the class with him. But he was like Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society. And it was just like the passion that he had for like the French proletariat and like teaching us about it. And like there were times that like he totally pulled the Robin Williams move and like was like lecturing from standing on his desk. And that he just like the passion that he exuded and the conversations that elicited from the class topics, and we were able to talk about like societal issues, and that was kind of at a point where like I started questioning religion, and like it was just, he was like a true inspiration on me. So yeah.
I would have to say, for me, it was my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Vincent. He was extremely funny. He was unprofessional even as well, but it was funny when he was unprofessional. And what I mean by that was, I mean, you're in 6th grade, so, you know, you're always going to be a little bit rambunctious. There was a boy that was in my class who was rambunctious. He always messed with the teacher. He would always just, and they would go back and forth, and he would yell at this kid, and it was just so funny. But I respected Mr. Vincent because he really and truly cared about teaching. He really wanted to make sure that it was enjoyable, and he was pretty well respected by everyone. And it was to the point that when I got to be an adult, I tried to find him online, because he's from a small town. I mean, this was Smith Grove, Kentucky, so we're talking a town of 800 people. I mean, there's no stoplights in Smith Grove, for example. But he was such a great teacher. I tried to reach out to him to thank him that he really inspired me to learn, and that he was such a great teacher, and I couldn't really find him. But yeah, I would have to say that would be one of the teachers that made the most impact in my life. It made me want to go to college. I was like, you know, hey, he went to college. You know, I definitely want to go to college if it's going to be like this.
Oh, actually, I will say I did have a K through 12 teacher, Senor Rice. He was my Spanish teacher in high school, and I absolutely loved learning languages. I studied language. I studied Spanish from middle school all the way into college as well, and Japanese a little bit in high school. But I loved the languages. But my Spanish teacher in high school, Senor Rice, he was like the bomb. He made you work super, super hard, and just kept us on a very strict regimen. But I learned so much from him, and he also had this very like dry sense of humor. So he was pretty inspirational. Like, that's what kept me wanting to continue to learn Spanish, which actually helped me kind of in my career as well. So yes, he was my high school Spanish teacher.
One of the things that you don't know, this is a fun fact, that Noelle is pretty strong in Spanish. Like, she still is.
I used to be proficient in Spanish, enough to where I was doing therapy in Spanish.
In order to do therapy in Spanish, to do therapy in English, if you're a native speaker, is pretty difficult anyway. But you're able to do it in Spanish, in a Spanish population, like a heavily Spanish population of New Mexico. I think that was
mostly in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like, come on now. But yeah, she is good with writing it and speaking it. So
I used to dream in Spanish.
Yeah. Let's see. Haitian Creole. Bruce says Haitian Creole is tough. I am Haitian and writing is tough. I agree with you. You know, I do a lot of stuff with folks in Haiti. So trying to understand what people are saying is very difficult because I use Google Translate. So a lot of times folks will either write in Haitian Creole, and I try to basically do that. And Haitian Creole is mostly a spoken language from what I understand. And Google Translate doesn't translate it correctly. So I'll try to answer back, and it's completely different than what they were saying. So a lot of times they will write to me in French, and then I'm able to actually translate that, and then I can reply back in French, and it makes things a little bit easier. But yes, I agree. Haitian Creole is tough. It's a beautiful language. I really love it. I want to learn more about it. And hopefully if I go back there next year, I'm going to spend a lot more time trying to learn Haitian Creole.
What is a skill you'd like to learn and why? And that's from Malco Lynch. So this comes from I was doing academic advising at a community college in New Mexico, and so it's a community college, so there's a lot of like vocational programs, you know, like plumbing and electric and carpentry and stuff. And I was so intrigued that like these students were getting this hands-on experience of like they could go and like wire a whole house. And I mean, I grew up, my dad was an electrical engineer, but I didn't get any influence or anything. Like his stuff never made sense to me. But I really wish I could learn those like hands-on skills to like be able to like drywall my whole house and do all the wiring and do the plumbing. I can do some limited plumbing. I will say that I've kind of self-taught. Yeah. But also I have some experience in like hands-on kind of stuff because I've done a lot of relief work on the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina. I did 5 different trips. And so I have been a part of like framing up a house and putting, hanging walls and studs and all of that stuff, and putting in plumbing. I used to also volunteer with an organization in Indianapolis called Rebuilding the Wall, and so we would work in houses, and I did the plastic tubing plumbing. So some of that I kind of know, but I wish I was just like super hands-on, like Anna White, who does all the housing plans and stuff. I wish I could do that.
Anna White is amazing.
Yeah.
What type of skill I would like to learn? I'm trying to get into it a little bit now, and that would be a lot of electronic type stuff. I'm getting what's called a Raspberry Pi. I did a video with my friend yesterday, which I'm going to probably put up relatively soon. But it's basically a small little microcomputer. I'm really starting to get more into things. I like technical things, so I'm starting to get into things like solar panels and how to hook those up. Basically electronics, I know how to build a normal, regular computer, but I want to try to go into things like building robots and different crazy stuff like that. So I really want to develop that skill a little bit more than what I have now. Mm-hmm. All right, Brick Flair says, it's cool now. Hey, guys, who do you think Zeta will favor more? In terms of looks or just who they want to hang out with more?
I don't know. I mean, we've kind of questioned. I honestly don't know, like, who she'll end up looking like. I think she'll probably maybe have between the girls, have more of a connection to Zara because Zara will be around her more, because Zoe will be in school. But it's hard to tell because Zoe kind of favors Herschel more, well, in looks and in bonding. And Zara is definitely much more a mama's girl, both in looks and kind of how she relates. But I don't know. It is a mystery, and we'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that she will. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say. I think that when they're first born, they don't look like either one of us. And then
they look very Asian when they're born.
Yeah, they really do. And it's really crazy because when I was born, I looked very, 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 very pale. And one of the things I haven't done was check my background, the 23andMe. I haven't done that yet. But from my understanding, we have a very mixed family tree. So I know there's going to be a lot of
Your grandmother was Japanese.
Yeah, there's going to be some white, some Asian, maybe some Native American in there, and black in there. So there's going to be a lot of different things. So, the one thing that does stand out with the kids is the forehead. They will always have that. Let's see. So Night Train, what did you guys get your degree in?
So I did my bachelor's degree in communication, and I got a minor in Spanish. And then I went on and got my master's later on in social work.
And I have an associate's degree in computer information systems, and then I have a bachelor's degree with just general studies, but with a focus on business management. Mm-hmm. Trini asks, hey Hersh, how was the experience of visiting such a poor country like Haiti? Well, that was really tough for me because, I did a video and someone kind of left a pretty rough comment for me when I said, I left Miami and I saw the skyline, and then when I got to Haiti, it wasn't like that. And they were like, well, duh. But I'm like, that's not what I meant. When I flew from here all the way to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix all the way over to Miami, I've been to Miami a couple of times, and it's just beautiful, and you see all of the, it's a tropical environment and all that stuff, and it's great. But then flying into Haiti, and you break the clouds, was the first time I've ever flown into a poor country. Prior to that, I've never, ever flown into a poor country. And to see, City Soleil, and you're seeing the open burning that's going on, and then you're seeing how everything is just very poor, it rattled me. But I have to say that Port-au-Prince, while that's poor, it didn't prepare me at all for landing on the island of Laganov, because that's where I went to. Laganov Island was by far poorer than any part of the mainland that I could see. And then when I went, we had to fly back. Actually, I flew there on a little small plane, which was really scary by itself, because the plane was very old, and it was flying through clouds and everything. And then you're landing on a dirt runway that was caked in mud because it had just rained prior to that. It was really, really scary. And they sometimes have to fly over a couple of times because there's animals that are on the runway. Cows, pigs, what have you. So they have to fly over first, circle back, and land. And it was just really scary because I knew the plane had a bunch of weight on it. So it was, we were carrying a heavy wooden observation hive, a lot of tools, a lot of luggage. It was scary. But when I landed and I saw all of the people, there's a lot of kids by that little runway strip who were begging for money, asking like, hey, can I have $1? Can I have some money? And you really want to help people. But it really broke my heart. I actually tried to fight back tears. When we left and went to one of the little remote villages to look for the bees, there were kids standing around that were naked. And it's choking me up now, but it really, really, really bothered me. Because it just didn't make sense for people to have to live like that. I didn't understand it. It makes sense. I mean, it's not a choice that they're making, obviously, but it bothered me. I'm not that far from Miami, yet you come here and people eat one time a day, if that.
Well, even you're connected to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, you're connected right to the Dominican Republic. You know, Puerto Rico's not far, Jamaica's not far, and I know these places aren't super wealthy countries, but it just shocked me. So it really made me be very thankful for what I have here, and just the spirit that the people have really taught me a lot. It changed me. She could tell you. When I came back for 3 weeks, I was a completely different person. I didn't really talk much. I was mentally still there. Wish I could have done a whole lot more. It really changed me quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could go on and on about that.
Yeah. Besides Korea, so on again. Besides Korea, what other places would you like to take your kids to see? I mean, I think I would love to be able to do like all 50 states. I mean, so I'm looking at a map right now. We have a map right above our computer that's of the states, and so like we've mapped out like where we've each been, where we've been together, where the kids have been, and stuff like that. So I would love to be able to see all 50 states. Not necessarily take the kids to all 50 states because this has been our life's journeys too of seeing these states, but taking them to, I would love to take them on like the historical tour of like DC and Boston and like see the museums and all of that. But internationally, definitely Korea. We would like to take them to Japan, probably China, you know, to a tropical location. Just for fun, and then I don't know, some places in Africa. I don't know specifically.
Yeah, I think Ghana would be one of the places I would like to go in terms of Africa, parts of Nigeria, things like that, but also even Haiti. And this ties into what Bruce is about to say. But the reason why I say Haiti, and I would wait until they're a little bit older, is to basically be thankful for what they have. You know, these kids here, you know, even when I can count how I was coming up, I was poor as a child, but I was wealthy compared to what I saw. You know, I didn't have the latest, greatest of clothes and shoes and things like that, but I wasn't, you know, just with busted shoes and holes in my clothes. But these kids here, they live very, 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 very well. They're spoiled. They have tablets. They have all these different things. But I think taking them to a place like this where people don't have clean water to drink.
Where they get 1 meal a day.
They're 1 meal a day, open sewers, that type of thing, I think would definitely show them that, hey, you should be thankful for what you have. Eat your food and not just leave it and say, hey, I don't want to eat chicken nuggets right now. The fact that you actually have that ability to do that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah.
Bruce says, Laganov is scary for me, and I'm Haitian. Countryside people still so impoverished. The capital is a mess, corruption everywhere. People in the U.S. should count their blessings. I agree. On Laganav Island, I asked one of the people who I went there with, who has an organization. She's been there for a very long time. And she said, you know, we're gonna drive around and I'm gonna show you the police department. And you gotta understand, there's no roads that are paved really on the island. I mean, in the city of Anse-a-Galets, there's like a road from the pier, the wharf, all the way into town, and I guess their little downtown area, which surprised me, was really bustling. So I guess probably about 1.5 miles of paved road. The island itself is about the size of Chicago, and it has about 150 to 200,000 people. It's very mountainous, very rocky, and the roads are in very bad condition once you leave that. Even in the city, it's just bad. We went up to the side of the mountain where there was a little bit more moisture, and you see all these red rocks, which when you're down on the coastline, everything is limestone. But when you go up there, it's these red rocks that are very slick. And we were on a motorbike, and there were several times when the bike was fishtailing. We couldn't get up the side of the mountain. There was times when, you know, the lady I was traveling with had to get off of the bike so the guy can get up. It was really, 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 really bad. But just seeing how bad it is once you even leave, I didn't think it could get any worse after I left Anse-a-Galets, but it got worse. It's really, really bad. However, I have to say that I've never met people who were the most honest, trustworthy, grateful people that I've ever met. When I was there and I taught folks how to do beekeeping, afterwards I had people, you know, hug me, thank me, and really stood up. You know, they stood up out of their chair, and each one of them said something nice to me, and, you know, and wanted me to come back. So it was really, really good. But I have to say, when we were traveling on that island, even though we were in the middle of nowhere, I felt safe. And the island only has 3 police officers, by the way. From what people tell me, there's only 3 police officers. I saw one pickup truck, and I was 10 miles away, which took about 4 hours for us to get to where we were, and I still felt safe. And obviously the people knew that we had money on us. You know, we're traveling. But still, no one really tried to do anything. So it is a little bit scary to some degree, but I think that for me, I kind of felt pretty safe compared to, you know, comparing it to here.
All right. I think
that's it.
Thank you for your work. Your kindness and nice endeavor is so appreciated.
I appreciate it, Bruce. I mean, this is definitely not the end. I think that when I go back there, I'm going to definitely do a little bit more with the beekeeping thing. And, you know, they've started their own, honeybee association. They're doing all that stuff. So I'm going to build more on that, and hopefully we can do a lot more things with them. But I appreciate it.
Okay, I think this is going to be the last question that we take for this live broadcast, but we're going to end it with Trini's question. Hey, Noelle and Hersh, how are your parents with the kids?
Well, I'm going to start with mine because mine's easier, because Noelle's is going to take a bit. I just spoke to my mom. You know, my dad passed away when I was 16, but of course I'm a product of a divorce, so I didn't really get to know my dad very well. But my mom loves the kids. I mean, just loves the kids. That's all she talks about. Before she asks about me, she asks about Noelle and the kids, and then I'm kind of a distant question. But to answer your question, my mom just loves the kids. They love her. They always ask about her. They always want to know, when are we going to go see Granny? That's their main question pretty much almost every week. If not several times a week, when are we going to go see Granny?
Well, the other day, Zara came in and she was all sad. And I was like, why are you sad? Because Granny doesn't live here with us.
Right. So yeah, they really love her, and she loves them.
So my parents, they have met Zara once.
I think once or twice, maybe.
They've seen Zara once, I think. And they've seen Zoe maybe 5 times. Mm-hmm. I'm not super close with my family, so there's not a lot of interaction. Sometimes the girls are taken aback that, like, I have a family, and that they have a grandfather. So yeah, we just don't have a strong connection. So yeah.
That's going to be one of those types of things that, you know, if she chooses to talk about, it's going to be one of those videos that's going to be really, really deep. But anyhow, folks, we are so happy to have done this broadcast. We'll do more if you guys want us to do more in the future. Bruce and Malco, both of you said thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the great questions.
Yes.
We really do love you guys. We appreciate you guys. We're going to do a lot more videos. Obviously, we have some of those stockpiled up. We have some videos that are going to come out as well as far as the baby. So look forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, thank you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and until next time.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you. Take care.